got some drama to get to on today's show, as it is Black Monday, exit interview kind of day across the National Football League for all the teams that are not going to the postseason. And we've got some interesting rumors to get to here, as a couple of players have chimed in on Russell Wilson getting benched by Sean Payton, and they revealed their thoughts. So ESPN's Jeff Legwold had an excellent article really doing a deep dive on what transpired a little bit behind the scenes. And I want to break it down bit by bit with you guys here. So let's get into it, as some anonymous players opened up about Russell Wilson getting benched. One saying, "We just won 5 in a row. We're all going to support backup Jarrett Stidham, but Russ was giving everything he had." Another guy said, "Pissed for Russ. Just pissed for Russ. A lot of us." And honestly, I'd be pissed too if I was a player. This was a move that was not made in the 2023 Denver Broncos' best interest. Benching Russell Wilson was a move made for the future Broncos' best interest. And hey, those are tough decisions to make, and sometimes you do have to think down the line, and that has ramifications for those playing in 2023. But the guys in the locker room, they are competing every single day. They are putting their bodies on the line. They are playing through injuries. They are breaking bones. They are tearing muscles. And when they're sitting there just barely on the outside looking into the playoff picture, and their head coach says, "We're benching our starting quarterback for a spark," yeah, I don't buy that it was for a spark, as Sean Payton said. What kind of spark did they get from benching Russell Wilson? They scored fewer points against the Raiders with Stidham than they did with Russell Wilson back in week 1. So Sean Payton and the Broncos might say it was football related. I call bullshit on that. This was a move for the Broncos' best interest in 2024 and 2025. And I'm not going to be too upset with them thinking down the line, but I understand why players are frustrated, because they have been competing and battling all season long. They started off 1-5. They win 5 games in a row. They get back above 500. And just a few short weeks later, they bench their quarterback. I'd be a little peeved too, going, hey, that's the guy we just won 5 games with. Now, sure, he's not perfect. And yes, we can do better from the quarterback position. But to act like Jarrett Stidham was going to give you more than Russell Wilson when you are fighting for your playoff lives, I don't buy that. Jarrett Stidham, I thought he did a okay job in the last 2 games. Does anyone actually think, after watching the last 2 weeks, that's the QB of the future? I'd be hard-pressed to find one person that's last name is not Stidham that thinks that's our guy for 2024 and beyond. Now, Jarrett Stidham is a competitor, and so credit to him for putting himself in a position where he can at least audition for the 2024 starting role. Speaking to the media today on the Broncos starting QB position in 2024, he said, "I'm very confident I can be the guy for us next season." Good for him. And honestly, I want him to work out. I want him to succeed. That's in the best interest for all of us, but I don't believe that's going to happen. I think Jarrett Stidham in 2 games showed us what he kind of had a good idea what he was, and that is probably a good to maybe above average backup quarterback, but not a guy that I think can start 17 games, take you to the postseason, and even win a postseason game. I did not get that sense from Jarrett Stidham, and albeit a small sample size in 2 games last year with the Raiders, but then again, 2 games with the Broncos this year. Not once did I think, that's our man. We got him. So let me know, will Jarrett Stidham start week 1, 2024? We got more to talk about on today's show, so let me get your opinions down below in the comment section. This is the pinned comment, so scroll on down and give me a yes or no. I think Jarrett Stidham is going to be the starting quarterback going into training camp. I don't think that the Broncos are going to draft a rookie and then have that guy be the starter day 1. That's just not common for any quarterback unless you are taken first overall. So I think Stidham has a very good chance of being your starting QB going into training camp. Now, how long does he hold on to the job is another question/debate in another video. But for now, I do think Stidham, if there was a game next week, and if there's a game in 3 months or a game in 2 months or 6 months or whatever, Stidham would be your starting QB. But the question remains, will he hold on to that starting job, or will we see maybe a rookie take it over for him? Now, next up on the show, we're going to talk about Russell Wilson's future in Denver and how murky it really is. But really quickly, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor today, which is Prize Picks. Thanks to Prize Picks, I had an absolute blast watching regular season football this year, but it's not going anywhere. We got postseason football now, we've got the NBA, and we're winning 25 times up our money. So let me give you an example of what Prize Picks looks like in case you're just stumbling across this for the first time. I'm taking the more on Joe Flacco's passing yards against the Houston Texans on Saturday. He torched them just 3 short weeks ago. I think he might do it again. I like the less on Patrick Mahomes. He has no receivers to throw to. It'll be a very cold day at Arrowhead. I like the more on Mike Evans against a Eagles defense that has been Swiss cheese lately. And I like the less on Najee Harris for the Steelers against the Bills because Harris is not even the best running back on his own team. So Prize Picks is super simple, super easy. All you do is, like you just saw, select 2 to 6 players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money. So go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. Now let's talk Russell Wilson here. I'll just say right now, I don't think Russell Wilson is returning in 2024. I don't see a way that even if you remove the finances from it, you bring someone that you benched back into your locker room and just have him hang out there. That seems like it's going to be a big elephant in the room and a very big distraction going into the season. The Broncos are likely going to move on from Russell Wilson. They are not going to find a trade partner. No one is trading for him. So now we look at the reality, which is he's got an $85 million dead cap hit. Now you can do a post-June 1 designation. That means his 2024 dead cap hit is 35.4 and his 2025 is 49.6. So when you do a post-June 1, you get to split that dead cap hit. Not quite 50-50, but spread it out over 2 seasons. So it lessens the blow for 2024, but 2025, $50 million of your budget to spend on players is gone. That's a lot of your money to spend on guys. It's tough to get good players for cheap, right? Go ask the Oakland Athletics about that. But imagine taking $50 million away from your budget to plan a party. Like, that's not going to be a very good Angela office Christmas party, right? That's going to be a Michael Scott planned party or the opposite. But I just don't see a way that this ends gracefully. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I am very pessimistic about this. When you look at the biggest dead cap hits in NFL history, I mean, we're not talking about setting a new record here, which belongs to Matt Ryan when he went from the Falcons to the Colts. We're talking about doubling that record and then adding on a little bit of change as well, going from $40.5 million to $85 million. So and this is what really gets under my skin a little bit. If Sean Payton wanted to get a stopgap quarterback to make the transition easier from Russell Wilson to a rookie quarterback, why not just go and keep Russell Wilson for the rest of the season, right? I doubt you're going to find anyone on the open market that is going to give you much better production. Maybe you find a marginally better quarterback in like Ryan Tannehill or Jacoby Brissett or Jarrett Stidham. But are any of those guys going to be leaps and bounds better than Russell Wilson in 2024? Unlikely. So if you're going to find a stopgap QB before you turn things over to a rookie or you draft a rookie quarterback in 2025, why not let Russ be that guy in 2024, right? That's what really just makes me scratch my head. And so because of that, I got to turn to, all right, well, maybe their plan all along is to go get a rookie quarterback in this draft and just make him the starter immediately. Now, an anonymous GM in this ESPN article from Jeff Legwold had a very interesting quote I thought you guys might find interesting. You can deal with dead money, but you better be ready to be young, real young. And it's easier if you're young around a quarterback you want to have for a long time. So reading that, and that's not George Payton's words, it could be anyone else's, but Sean Payton must believe Jarrett Stidham can help them win more games in 2024 than Russell Wilson was able to do in 2023. And he also must have an eye on a QB in this draft class. And he truly believes moving on from Russell Wilson and rolling with Stidham or like Tannehill, but even then, you got to sign another quarterback. So now you're paying Stidham, Tannehill, or any other free agent QB, and Russell Wilson, and a rookie QB. That's 4 guys whose paychecks are going just to one room. So for that reason, let's just say it's Stidham only and a rookie QB, and then Russell Wilson's money is still being kind of like budgeted into the quarterback room budget. I think Sean Payton must have his eye on some rookie QB that he is excited to turn things over to in 2024 and have some kind of competition between that rookie and Jarrett Stidham. Now, who might that rookie be? There are 4 guys that I think are going to go round 1 in this upcoming NFL draft. Caleb Williams, Drake Maye are no-does. Jayden Daniels, I think, is going to go top 10. And I think Michael Penix, if he balls out tonight against Michigan, he might even go before Jayden Daniels in the top 10. We have not seen very often where 4 QBs go in the top 10. You got to go back to Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, that draft class, right? With Josh Rosen, he went number 10, like Josh Allen as well. It's not very often, but it has happened before. Now, Denver currently has the number 12 overall pick in the draft. They could jump up a few spots. It wouldn't cost you too much to go from 12 to 7 or something like that. We're talking a first-round pick swap and maybe a future first, but we're not doing a Trey Lance kind of trade where multiple first-round picks are involved. But let's just say, I don't know, Denver doesn't get the QB of their dreams at number 12. Maybe they are looking at a day 2 quarterback pick, right? Round 2 or round 3, and maybe even if it does slip into day 3 of the draft. Bo Nix from Oregon, I don't think is going to go round 1, but he does look like a quarterback that Sean Payton could mold into what he wants at the quarterback position. J.J. McCarthy, I think, is going to go back to Michigan, but if he were to enter the draft, that's a name to keep an eye on. Sam Hartman, I was a big fan of at Notre Dame, and I could see him kind of being the Aiden O'Connell of this draft class. Michael Pratt from Tulane, haven't seen confirmed whether or not he is going to enter the NFL draft, but if he does, that's going to be a day 2/day 3 name to keep an eye on. And then Joe Milton, who went to my alma mater, Tennessee, an absolute bazooka of an arm. It's not really what Sean Payton is looking for in a QB, but I'm just doing some free PR work for Joe Milton because I think he's awesome. So let me know, who do you want the Broncos to draft? Which of those 9 QBs? And it's still early in the draft process, so we're not really sure exactly which quarterbacks will be entering the draft for sure. But just take a stab at it. Who do you want the Broncos to draft? Now, given that it is Black Monday, we've seen already one head coach go down. Some other guys get fired as well. I thought it'd be a good time to revisit some of my summer hot takes. So if you recently subscribed to the channel, back in the summer, every single day, based on the temperature in Denver, I would give out a take. Now, if it was a very hot day in Denver, I gave out a scalding hot take. If it was a chilly day in Denver, I gave out a much more mild take. So, with that being said, I want to revisit some of my best hits and some of my biggest misses. Let's talk about my best preseason takes. I was all over Colorado covering against TCU. My only regret is I didn't go all the way to say money line. But I had a big feeling that Colorado, with a 20-point spread, would take care of business against TCU. I also said Garrett Bolles may be gone in 2024. He has a $20 million cap hit next season. The Broncos are currently $17 million in the red. They could get back towards the green by unfortunately moving on from Garrett Bolles. That is one to keep an eye on still. I said the Broncos will win more games than the New York Jets. Denver won more games than the New York Jets. So we'll take it, baby. Marvin Mims hauls in a 50-plus yard touchdown. We got that pretty early in the season. So, I mean, no big deal, but I was all over Marvin Mims being a big play factor. I just wish we saw more of that. And I said Josh Jacobs will not be a top 5 rusher. Even if Jacobs was healthy and played all 17 games this year, Josh Jacobs was not going to be a top 5 rusher. So I'm feeling pretty good about my 5 biggest hits. Now my misses, here we go. I said the Broncos would sweep the Raiders. It was the opposite. The Raiders swept the Broncos. So hand up, got that one wrong. I said the Broncos would start the year 3-1. Got that one very wrong. They started almost the opposite. I said Jerry Jeudy is a top 2 or will be a top 2 AFC West wide receiver. He's definitely not top 2. It's Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen, or Cortland Sutton. You kind of argue about second and third right there. And then maybe Jeudy. There's no one on the Chiefs. Rashee Rice could rival Jeudy. He had a really good ending to the year, but Judy's definitely not top 2. I said the Broncos would finish top 5 in carries. I think we all expected this team to run the football more. They made big moves in free agency at left guard and right tackle, 2 guys that were run-blocking types of offensive linemen, and ultimately they finished somewhat near the middle of the pack in carries. I said the Rams would blow it up and trade Cooper Kupp or Aaron Donald. Neither happened, and they are in fact playing in a playoff game this upcoming weekend, and they also had one of the biggest dead cap hits this season. So credit to LA for putting together a pretty good roster with not being able to use their entire salary cap allotment. That's going to do it for us on today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to sign off, and we'll see you all later.